To kick things off for this show, this is sort of a special show in that we are talking about, instead of doing our normal, rundown of the news and current events and maybe a reading series, what we're doing on this episode is a little bit different. We're doing a single topic. And this was sort of inspired by something that we sort of came across accidentally last week, and then we thought it would be a good idea to do a show. This week's show is going to be all about the weird and wonderful worlds of conservative political cartoonists and cartoons.
It's the Chapo Comics Cavalcade.
Yeah, you guys are used to our smart shows where we, talk about the Noid, or we notice that a movie from 2006 is bad, but we're going to be having fun today.
We're going to cut loose and examine a genre of art. It's a subgenre. Like, there is the category of newspaper editorial cartoons, which is already bad. No, they're known for being not funny, incredibly poorly drawn, and just generally the scribblings of sort of octogenarian cranks of all stripes. However, the conservative editorial political cartoon is a subgenre that I think can really best be compared to outsider art, sort of like the works of Henry Darger.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like if Henry Darger got really riled up about hip-hop knockout game thugs.
instead of
aliens
butterfly-like
small
girls
children
with male genitalia.
Yeah.
The thing that
Henry Eichenwald.
Well, the funny thing about comparing Darger to conservative political cartoonists is that their understanding of human anatomy is similarly skewed and bizarre.
Yeah.
So we've compiled sort of we're going to take a sort of tour through what I think is sort of the masters of the form, some of the highlights of the best artists working in this genre, and I don't know, where do you want to start?
Well, Day by Day is fresher in our memories.
I think we should save Day by Day. I think that's
okay.
that's our finale.
All right.
How about, you like this one. How about Dry Bones?
Okay, Dry Bones, dude. One of my favorites. One of my favorites.
I wasn't really familiar with Dry Bones.
It's really simple. It's like a 2-word elevator pitch. Zionist Ziggy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about a lonely old man who talks to his dog about Israel. The drawing style is incredibly simplistic, and many of them are single panels, and there's just no joke whatsoever. I've got a few right in front of me I think you'll enjoy. This one, he's against BDS. This guy is very, very, very pro-Israel. I think he was born in Brooklyn or something like that.
What do we know about the person? What is it? First of all, who's the guy who draws and creates Dry Bones?
I looked it up, but then I didn't care.
Jeffrey Goldberg.
Okay, here's one. Dry Bones. This one's called "Stop the BDS Bullying," and it's Ziggy. He's holding a man by a much smaller man by the collar, and the man is holding signs that say "BDS, Jews out, boycott Israel, Jews out, BDS." Okay, so they repeat. And there's another title called "Fight Campus Anti-Semitism," and then a bubble that says, "If not us, then who? If not now, then when?" And there's a dog, and just the man's dog, and the dog has "Stop BDS" written on its chest.
Okay.
So that's the level of humor.
Well,
involved
there's
here.
a couple things going on here that I think are indicative. I want to drill down into the actual content of this, but I think there's a couple things in this single comic strip that's indicative of the genre at large. So you begin with the incredibly amateurish artwork. Then another very important thing about political cartooning is that everything has to be covered in words, because there can never be any question or ambiguity about what everything in the cartoon is supposed to represent. But what I like is that sometimes there are so many words, it muddles the meaning of it anyway.
Yeah, it's so direct, you have to wonder if it's about something else. It's it says repeatedly Jews out, and it has some Holocausty language about, how terrible it is when people don't buy SodaStream. But it's just so in your face. You're like, are you sure this is what it's about? Because I don't know.
Well, first of all, why does the dog have "Stop BDS" written on him?
The dog who looks like Spuds McKenzie is against BDS also. It's very... Here you go, Matt.
He's a Likud dog.
And also, what is Dry Bones the name of the character? The sort of Ziggy looking
I don't
character?
actually understand the name, because dry is something that would refer to humor, but bones, is that also an old comedy term?
Dry bones is a condition you have after you're hit with white phosphorus for being anti-Semitic.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Well, the actual like speech bubble, which is again, it's not clear if it's a speech bubble. Like the words are like badly placed in it. They're connecting.
It could be a poster.
The border of it could be a thought bubble. It could be a speech bubble. It's not clear, but it is a reference to Primo Levi, which I think is also ironic because he was known late in his life for sort of turning on Israel during the first Lebanon War and then killing himself after a particularly mean commentary magazine piece. Whether the two are related or not, hard to say, but he took a lot of shit from right-wing Jews in America for, quote, turning against Israel.
If you'll notice here, the student being beaten up here, the BDS student, is wearing what appears to be like a medieval neck ruffle.
Oh, that is supposed to be a kafaya.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
kafaya. But why does one guy have four posters?
Because no one's in BDS, and it's like a marginal movement of anti-Semites, and that's why we have to talk about it all the time and be terrified of it and make it illegal.
All right, can we go to
Here's a few more. He's also a big fan of Jonathan Pollard and thinks Jonathan Pollard should be freed. Here's one. This is Ziggy again talking directly to the audience.
Disgusting Eli Lake face directly into the camera.
I believe his name is Mr. Schuldig, and so this is captioned Mr. Schuldig's advice. The way for Trump to now save his trip to Israel is to bring Jonathan Pollard with him.
Isn't it Jonathan Pollard, first of all?
Pollard.
Jonathan Pollard.
Well, when is this?
It's Kafifi.
That's Kafifi.
Kafifi.
Yeah.
It's Kafifi.
Oh, check this out.
Okay, so-
Person of Kafaya.
And there's another one. This is a caricature of Pollard.
yeah.
That's the
the
best
most art
picture
he's
he's
ever
on.
put on one
No,
of
that
these things.
looks exactly like Rob
Reiner?
Yeah, Rob Reiner.
It looks like Rob Reiner.
I always thought
Wait a minute,
that,
that's not Rob Reiner?
No,
that's Jonathan Pollard.
That's Pollard.
I always thought Pollard looked like every guy who gets a lot of UTIs and like later they find child porn on his computer. That's
What are
like a
those
type
guys?
of guy.
That classic guy.
Classic
Yeah, no, that is a type of guy.
Yeah.
If you lived your life more thoroughly, you would know that guy.
The UTI child porn guy.
Well, he just has like a UTI look in his face.
So, for those who maybe aren't, Jonathan Pollard was a guy who was convicted of spying on he was doing espionage on America. I think he leaked secrets to the Navy or something to Israel and was put in jail for it. Mm-hmm. And then he's been a sort of like lost cause for like the hard right and hard Jewish right in Israel and America.
Interesting thing about Pollard. So he stole nuclear secrets. The Israelis, it's not that they wanted them for themselves. They actually sold them to Russia, so Russia would do a population transfer of Jews, quote unquote, and just like losers who claimed that they like gefilte fish, who could claim Jewish, so they could offset Arab birth rates. Because, Zionism is normal. It's a regular thing to believe in. It's a regular thing to do. There's nothing wrong with Israel. You're anti-Semitic if you say it. The hardest thing you can be is just like a type of white person with a slightly different name who sometimes looks different, like your eyes look different. That is basically the same as being black. And if anyone ever says that it's wrong to steal nuclear secrets and, if you're a guy who has child porn on his computer and UTIs, to do that so you can have a population transfer to keep up your fucked up ethnocracy that's only existed for since 1948, then you're racist. Then you're like the same as the alt-right, and we'll never stop crying about it. We'll never stop crying about how we're the most oppressed minority, even though there are 70 horrible magazines where we can be like, how it's hard to be a Jew on Halloween.
Mm-hmm. Now, Virgil, for the Jonathan Pollard cartoon here, the caption that just restates what the first one says, but underneath it in parentheses, you just wrote Neil Hamburger voice.
Oh, right.
So would you like to read this?
The next one should be right. So he does
okay.
4-panel ones, and actually, Matt, you do a good Neil Hamburger. Could you do this one?
So what am I doing in this point?
Just read this comic to everyone in the Neil Hamburger voice. What are you doing?
Sorry.
That one?
Yep, this
All
one.
right. So Will, you do the other guy.
Okay.
So this is the guy with the newspaper talking to another guy. Neither one of them are the Ziggy, I should say. Egyptian exports to Israel are increasing daily.
That's nice.
Not really. What they're exporting to Israel is a flood of their unwanted African migrants.
Holy shit! No fucking way! This fucking rules, dude.
Now,
Oh my god!
is
spitting your bow tie. They're going. Would you drop muddy water into a pool?
can I do the other like? How can Donald Trump save his trip to Israel? Bring Jonathan Pollard with him.
Oh, dude, this is so fucking good.
Is Dry Bones? It's not syndicated in any newspaper. This is just a web.
It is. It's in the Jerusalem Post.
Oh God.
I love how there used to be like Jews were notorious for we were good at comedy, and now it's like this. That's how bad at being an ethno state is.
It's true. I mean, you can't make a stronger argument that Jews really need to be diaspora because American Jews, very funny. Israeli Jews, not at all.
Yeah, think
Not
about all
funny
the
at
funny American Jews like Sheldon Adelson, Chaim Saban, Jared Kushner,
Marty Perez.
Jeffrey Epstein, classic prankster Jeffrey Epstein.
Now-
Social experiment, secret plane. The social experiment going on a trip with Bill Clinton.
Now, you would say from the drawings that you've seen so far that this is very bad artwork. This is just terrible.
Awful.
Now, wait for this Trump caricature coming up.
Okay.
You will plot.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Right?
Oh my, no way.
That's not great.
Not good.
Pretty bad.
Folks, Dry Bones has skewered me. I will be stepping down.
I don't have the words to describe this. This is like an MS Paint drawing someone would make as a joke.
Can we create some sort of document that we can link?
We have
Yeah,
to,
we
because
should
otherwise
post all
this
of
is an
these.
insane endeavor.
This should be a meme, frankly. This Trump. Did you get a
But
look
yeah,
at this?
no,
Brendan?
we absolutely need to put this out there, or else it's just as insane describing things.
Okay,
People
there
need to be able
you
to look
go,
at them
Brendan.
while they're listening.
Okay.
Exactly. Follow-
So here is this this
Sing along
Trump.
with
you have to look at this. I don't. I
it's
wouldn't be
hard
able to describe this.
It kind of looks like they left Donald Trump in a hot car.
No, it's like Peter Griffith. It's like somebody. It's
Peter
like
Griffin?
kind of-
Peter Griffith?
Peter Griffin.
I'm gonna
whatever.
send you to
I
the
don't
moon,
know. I don't
Lois.
watch that show. I don't know what his fucking name is. He's like Peter Griffin if they took the glasses off and gave him Donald Trump's hair.
Not even Donald Trump's hair. This is. It's like a surfer guy's hair.
To me, it looks like how like on the new Apple Instant Messenger, you can like draw shit and send it as a text to people. This looks like it was drawn with a finger on a cell phone screen.
Well, okay, yeah, the art's not great, but you can't beat this comedy.
Yeah, let's read the caption.
yeah.
Read
This
the
is amazingly
A
funny.
senior member of the Trump team told Israel that the Western Wall is part of the West Bank and not ours. Yet another advisor that Donald needs to fire.
Nailed
Oh
him.
my God.
Cha-ching.
Now, as bad as this one is, look at the next one. Look at the next Donald Trump here.
Holy
Wait,
shit,
that looks like Hillary.
No, that's supposed to be
Hillary.
Trump.
No, that's Hillary.
Wait, no, that's got to be Hillary.
No,
That's
see,
Hillary.
read the caption.
Okay.
The swamp drainer asked the swamp things to vote for his proposals, and they wouldn't.
Yeah, that's gotta.
No,
be
the swamp
Hillary.
drainer is Trump.
It
Yeah, that is Trump, yeah.
It's
It
Trump
looks
with
like Hillary.
That's Trump.
No, that's Trump wearing lipstick, it
Yeah.
appears.
And with Hillary's hair.
Oh, so you're saying Trump is taking hormones since he's been in Washington. This is very like blue velvet.
I like
it.
these swamp creatures that just look like turds with teeth. It's once again really good art.
Well, not just the art, but this gets to another trope of the genre, which is the unbelievable lack of anything even resembling humor, a joke, or a punchline.
Nope.
Like it again, very inscrutable. What's
Yeah.
being done here?
Yeah, and Mallard Fillmore is similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone says like humorless SJWs and like, yeah, all the 5 billion webcomics about like a girl with an uneven haircut who like yells at guys those aren't good, but they have punchlines. Like the
They do
punchline,
try to be funny.
yeah, the punchline is like, well, why don't you go read Fight Club? Fuck ass, but one of those compound swears. But it has a setup, a build, and then a payoff.
Yeah,
but this
like-
is just like a guy yelling at you.
Compound swears.
this is
are
a guy
the
who
lowest
looks-
form of comedy, but at least it's an attempt.
This
at
is
comedy.
like if you've ever had an older relative who demands you go on birthright for some reason. It's the same
have not
type of
had that.
experience.
Not-
yes,
I've never
you're
had that.
Jewish. Your
No.
last name is Jewish.
Well, he's consistently mad about the UN. He thinks Gazans are rabid dogs that should be starved. You know, he's pretty standard middle of the road stuff. He's
Yeah,
a radical
moderate,
moderate. Yeah. This next one, you'll have to explain this to me because this is the most forgot to tell a joke.
Let me put on my
so far.
Chabad
Sorry,
hat.
real quick before you do that one, as you were scrolling through, I just saw one where it's just a single panel. It's just the old looking Ziggy, and he's just saying, the state of Jordan is Palestine.
No, that's the one I was going to
Oh,
show
okay.
right here.
No, that's the Zionist argument.
Yeah.
Is that the Palestinians just need to be absorbed into the country.
Jordan is Palestine. Gaza is Egypt.
That's-
And he's,
that-
like, shrugging.
That's like saying, well, actually, it's not like saying, because this is correct, we don't need Israel because we have Long Island. I mean, that's true, but the Jordan thing isn't.
So this is like a big argument they made. I don't even.
Yeah, it's
understand
it's
the
like you less hear it in fervent Zionists. I mean, you hear it in those, but the people who make this argument the most are like American Ned Flanders evangelicals. Like that's a real Christian thing because they like sort of like weird misinterpretations of Old Testament geography, and they're like, they're very nice. They'll like give you cookies if your house burns down, but then they're like, the Palestinians can go live in Jordan, and
most refugees are in Jordan, so they say, why don't you just put them all there?
yeah, PFLP actually did go to Jordan and pissed King Hussein off so bad that he just fucking murked thousands of them in one night in September in the 70s.
The Black September.
Yeah,
as it
Black
were.
September.
Here's another single panel one. It's from the Department.
That's why they have the steam sale now.
It's from the Department of Stupid Explanations.
Oh, good.
It's the man talking to the dog, and he's
gonna
saying to the
take someone
dog,
to task.
Abbas asked Israel to cut off Gaza's electricity. So we did.
Boom, got him.
Here's another thing that I don't get about Dry Bones. Does the dog ever interact with this old Ziggy, or is he
I
just
don't
looking
know.
at
The
him?
dog never talks.
The dog is just so. This is
He's
a man.
just an
this
old-
is
I have an
literally
explanation.
Old man
talking to a dog
Explanation.
about Israel Palestine.
Explana-
But the dog doesn't like talk to him like Garfield or anything.
This,
or no.
this represents American Jewish families who are like one of the like worst ones, like the Kushners type family, where all the kids are jockeying for inheritance so they can like make their hip hop themed restaurant in East New York with armed guards with fake bullet holes in the wall. And so they just stare at their shitty grandfather who like made a lot of money because he short sold the King David Hotel in 1948. They just stare at him until he's done talking, until he's done saying, well, if you marry a Jewish girl, you can have my boat. And but he's so used to just no interaction. Except for like, we love you, Grandpa, or like, Grandpa, I'm gonna, major in fucking Zionist math at Wesleyan.
You're getting such a window.
So this-
Yeah, that
American
he just
Jewish
forgets
experience
what it's
today.
like to talk to anyone. So he just talks to the dog about Jonathan Pollard, and it's the same experience as talking to all his grandkids that are all named Hunter and Jordan.
Well, it's a
My favorite thing about this one is that the dude drew the guy's eyes so close together that the two circles intertwine, so it looks like a Venn diagram.
Yeah.
And then he just said, fuck it, that's good enough.
Well, it's a missed opportunity because, fine, I get it that you're just trying to lecture people about Israel, but I don't know, you could like have another panel that's the dog doing something funny, something redeeming. Isn't that the premise of
Yeah,
cartoons?
it's the dog shooting flares at a flotilla in Gaza.
Well, I was thinking the dog would like eat the man's dinner while he's just like senile and talking to the television set.
That would be a great comic strip.
Yeah, that
It
would
was
be
just
hilarious.
The dog acting like a dog.
Yeah, but the problem is that this guy is supposed to be cool and smart and not someone that the dog is ignoring while he eats his hungry man.
The last one I have here I selected is it's about Bernie Sanders. It's called At the Seder, A Place for Everyone. Having seated the wise, the simple, and he who doesn't know to ask, Mr. Schuldig invites the wicked son, and he says, hey, Bernie.
Fuck you.
Fucking nailed him.
Well,
Fuck you, Bernie.
that does have the semblance of a joke.
That is
There-
kind
there
of
is-
joke.
there is a
That's the
gag-
most-
there's a-
That's
yeah.
actually clever.
There's
Yeah,
a
that's
gag
the most
there.
joke-esque
Yeah.
of the things he's put out here so far.
So the last piece of information about this guy, his name is Yaakov Kirschen, and he's got an Indiegogo called Help Fight Anti-Semitism with the Dry Bones cartoon.
I really wouldn't call that what Dry Bones is doing because you heard what I've been saying for this last
Yeah,
segment.
exactly.
It did not decrease
Yeah,
anti-Semitism.
I would say that, the amount of anti-Semitism that was spewed in just the last 20 minutes we've been talking is more than any amount of Hasbara he's done in his entire career.
Yeah, I like Sheldon Adelson's going to need like $3 billion to counteract what I just did.
He has raised $42,000, and he says his next step is to create an online Dry Bones Academy of cartoon advocacy and activism. We need to empower a next generation with the tools to speak out when impartial journalists remain silent. A next generation who will have the tools to speak out against the enemies of civilization who incite violence against Jews around the world while they rape, murder, and crucify Christians across the Middle East and Africa. And to do this, we'll need $100,000.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah, that's pitched to the McMansion dipshits in suburban Dallas.
he got money though, and it's like, I see why. It's like the Dry Bones Academy for drawing cartoons, the Billy Joel Academy for driving.
The Center for Authentic Cartooning.
Yeah, the Eric Clapton Center for Window Safety.
On this animation
It's all
here,
names associated with
here's
it.
the guy who makes the cartoons. Here's some incredibly old woman. And
He's
here's some
ancient.
very young,
He's got
nice boy.
He's got dry bones.
It's a dry boy.
Best part about this is donations of $500 or more are tax deductible.
Why?
Who knows?
What the fuck?
Yes. Oh, if you want to support Dry Bones,
Why?
you will get a tax deduction.
What, does he have a disability or something? Like,
Yeah,
why?
wait a minute. Wait a minute. That sounds like a scam.
That sounds like we need to contact the government about this. I'm not in favor of calling police, but
You know
this
what
should
though?
not
If
be
we show
tax
Trump,
deductible.
if we show Trump the critical cartoons, he's going to get audited.
That's it for
so let's-
that's it for Dry Bones.
Moving on
guys.
from dry bones.